On Wednesday, the 23rd of January 2019, Tyler and I left Australia to fly to London to start 6 months of travelling around the UK and Europe, and hopefully around the world. There was quite a bit to do before we left because where we were living, we'd been there for a really long time, and I had a lot of my childhood possessions there, and Tyler had a lot of his childhood things there as well. So we had quite a bit to pack up before we left because we wouldn't be returning there when we got back to Australia. The lives of two 28-year-olds packed into one room, just waiting for us to get back. Wow. Luckily for me though, Marie Kondo's special had just come out on Netflix, and that was such a huge help because it just changed my mindset of what to keep and what to give to charity and why. It was so much easier when all you had to do was find out if that item gave you joy or not. Watching her special just opened up a different trigger in my brain and just made everything so much clearer and so much easier to let things go as well. So we packed up our lives and we left Australia. We flew Thai Airways the whole way from Brisbane to London with a stopover in Bangkok for about 4 hours. And the whole experience was fairly good. None of our flights were delayed, which was a big worry for me because we had stuff planned in London for the first day when we arrived. But none of that happened, which was really good. The only real issue had to do with the meals. We ordered vegetarian non-dairy on both flights because I get a bit travel sick sometimes, and I thought that was probably the safest option if I was going to be eating on the plane. And the flight from Brisbane to Bangkok was fine. We both got our meals, but then when we got on the flight from Bangkok to London, we only got one vegetarian non-dairy option meal and one regular meal. And when we inquired about it, they kind of shrugged it off and blamed us, saying that we didn't order 2 meals, we only ordered the one, and even though we had the proof on our ticket and everything, that they said that they just didn't have another meal for us. So we just ate the regular and the vegetarian non-dairy option. But then luckily for the second meal of that flight, they found another vegetarian non-dairy option for us. So we both got meals for the breakfast, which was good because they brought out an eggs and sausage thing that I just don't think would have agreed with my stomach very well. So we were very thankful that we got what we ordered for breakfast. The other thing we were a little bit disappointed about with the flights was that when we booked them, we were supposed to be on these beautiful new big planes that we'd been wanting to fly on for a while, but then a week before our flight, they changed the planes on us to some older planes, so it wasn't as comfortable and as new and enjoyable as we were hoping, but we got to London safely and on time, so that's the main thing.
How old do you reckon this is? In the 80s. Do you reckon the credit card reader still works? No. Thank you.
Business class passenger please. The other side to the right, please.
Thank you.
You see the wheel?
But we made it. We finally made it to London, and it was always one of those places that in the distance I thought I'd get to someday, but it was always in the future. It was never right now or we're planning a trip to go. Even when we were planning this trip to come here, it just seemed like it was something that was always a little bit out of reach. But we're finally here, and it still feels so surreal being in the UK right now. We landed at Heathrow at about 6 a.m. on the 24th of January, and we had a couple of hours to kill in the airport before getting on a train to get to our first Airbnb. So we just hung around for a bit, got some pastries for breakfast, checked out a few of the shops and things, and then we came across M&S. and wow, Marks and Spencer food is amazing. Coming from Australia where grocery stores pretty much just sell groceries mainly, they had so many options, so many pre-made meals. They had pretty much everything that you could think of, all in this tiny little airport store. And we found that since we've been here, it wasn't just M&S, it's pretty much any grocery store that you go to has their own range of options and range of pre-made meals. But the one thing that I haven't been able to find in grocery stores since being here is bonsai milk. I found it online that you can get delivered to your address in the UK, but I haven't found it in any of the grocery stores. So if anybody knows where to get bonsai milk in the UK, please let me know in the comments below, because I just haven't been able to find it anywhere. But I found a pretty good alternative has been All Pro or Alpro organic soy milk. That's been pretty good. And I also like the milk that's spelled M-Y-L-K, and it's in a white container with blue letters written on it. That's really good too. That's like a combination of coconut milk and nutritional yeast and all of these other things in it. Those two milks have been good, but let me know if you know where to get bonsai milk. I don't know if it's because it's so far away from Asia here. I just can't find it anywhere. So we waited around in the airport for a couple of hours. We got our Oyster cards for the train, and just before we left the airport, we thought, why don't we just walk outside without our jackets on to see how cold it is? We had just left Australia where the temperature was in the mid-30s, it was the middle of summer, and it was so hot. Currently in Australia it is summer and I am sweating so much. It is so hot, and we're going from the middle of summer in Queensland to the middle of winter in London. We stepped outside and it was -2 degrees. It was freezing. We were so cold. We ran back into the airport and put our jackets on. Apparently the day before we landed in London, they just started a cold snap. And I think the night before we landed, or maybe when we were flying, there was snow in London that night. So yeah, it was pretty cold. A few of our friends that live over here said that it wasn't that cold the week before, or it hasn't been that cold this winter. But luckily for us, when we arrived, it was freezing. So we put on our big snow jackets and jumped on the train to get to our Airbnb. We couldn't check into our Airbnb properly until 2, but the host was lovely enough to let us in at about 11 just to drop our bags off and chill out for half an hour, which was great. And then we went and got some lunch, and we were both feeling pretty good. We didn't feel too tired, which was interesting because we probably only had maybe 4 or 5 hours at the most over our 36 hours of traveling. So for us not to be too sleepy was really good. But then as soon as we had lunch, I was sitting in the restaurant and it's like a train had just hit me. I was so sleepy and I didn't even know if I'd be able to make it back to the hotel room, to the Airbnb, without falling asleep. It was around 2 p.m. anyway, so we headed straight back to the Airbnb and we thought we're just gonna have a quick nap before we had to go out, because I had sillily booked tickets to the Book of Mormon that night, thinking that I'd booked them for the second night that we were there. So we had these tickets to the Book of Mormon that we had to go and see. So we thought, we'll have about an hour's nap, I'll set an alarm and it'll be fine. And then after we were asleep for about an hour, the alarm went off. I woke up and I just thought, I just need to rest here just for a second, just with my eyes closed, just to wake up a little bit. I don't want to get out of bed straight away. And then about an hour later, I woke up again in a panic, because when I set the alarm, I'd left enough time that I could get ready and have a shower and wash my hair and just feel good, and then we could go out, get some dinner and then go to the theatre. But when I woke up an hour later was about the time that I wanted to leave. So I woke up in a panic. I woke Tyler up. I was like, oh my gosh, we have to leave now. I've never gotten ready so quickly. I didn't get to wash my hair. I had to put it up in a bun, but we got ready super quick, and luckily for us, we got there with still half an hour before curtains opened, before the show started. We got to the theatre half an hour before the show started, so we were fine, but the Book of Mormon was really great. I'd really like to see it again when I'm not fighting jet lag and almost passing out. Tyler said that the people behind me were laughing at one point because I just kept doing the nodding and waking myself up thing. I think I might have fallen asleep for maybe 5 minutes towards the end, but I'd really like to see it again when I'm more awake. And then after the Book of Mormon, we just walked around outside in the West End for a little bit. I think the cold air woke us up a little because we weren't as tired as we were when we were in the theatre. But we were just walking around and it was so lovely just being in the city and knowing that we're in London and that all of our travel was done for the time being, and just enjoying the city nightlife was really lovely. When we got back to the Airbnb, we just hit that bed, didn't set an alarm, and just slept for probably 9 or 10 hours and woke up the next morning feeling really good. So I think we kind of beat jet lag almost, except for that nap that we had the first day. But other than that first nap, we felt pretty good. We were a little bit tired the next day, but not enough to have a nap or to stop sightseeing or anything like that. We just slept really well the next night as well. But yeah, I think we did jet lag okay. Even though we're only traveling for 6 months, it was really hard saying goodbye to our parents and saying goodbye to Ari, our dog. We've had him for 7 years now, and we work from home, so we see him all day, every day, and that was really difficult saying goodbye to him. I was an absolute mess the morning that we left because I just didn't want to say goodbye to him, and I knew I wasn't going to see that little face for 6 months, so that was really difficult. But that was also one of the reasons why we decided to do house sitting while we travel, because we thought that maybe if we look after other people's pets while they're on holidays, it won't feel as bad leaving our own dog at home because we get to look after other animals. It'll kind of soften the blow a little bit. And I think it definitely has helped. We're currently looking after a 12-year-old golden retriever named Jake, and it's been really great having a dog around because we're so used to it back home. Some days it makes you miss Ari even more because you're looking at him missing our dog, but then some days it's really great because you've got a dog to show that love to and play with and have fun with. So I think it's definitely helped us. We did a bit of research on house sitting websites before we left, and we ended up signing up with trustedhousesitters.com, which has been really good. It's not sponsored or anything by them, but I'll put the link below so that you can check them out. There are heaps of different house sitting websites out there depending on what you're looking for. When we were looking, Trusted House Sitters seemed to have more of the listings that we were kind of looking for at the time. And I think it's about 130 Australian dollars to sign up, which seems like it's a little bit expensive when you say it out loud, but we just had the idea that if we were traveling around and paying for hotel rooms or Airbnbs, we'd probably spend that amount of money for a night or two worth of accommodation anyway. So even if we only got one house sit out of that website, we thought that would be worth the yearly fee. I think it definitely is, because we have this house sit for almost 6 weeks. We have another 2 coming up for 2 weeks in Cambridge and then one in Edinburgh where we're looking after cats and dogs. So I think it's definitely worth the yearly fee. We've also just recently signed up for house carers to try and get some other house sitting assignments. But when we were finding these house sitting websites, we also found a database search, which I think it's even called housesitsearch.com, and that kind of shows you the range of house sitting websites that are out there, because there are some other ones like Nomador and websites like that that you can sign up to depending on what you're looking for. There's even country specific ones, so I know Australia's got some, I know New Zealand's got some, and America as well. There's luxury house sitting websites, which that sounds amazing. And then there's house sitting websites where you can tick whether you want to look after people's pets or if you just want to look after the house, water their plants, bring in the mail, that kind of thing. There are so many different options for house sitting, and I think it's a really great way to travel, because I always like to travel and stay in a place for a while so that you can really absorb the culture and see what it's like to actually live in that place instead of just traveling and hitting the tourist sites and then leaving. House sitting has been really great for us, at least, because we've been able to really explore the area that we're in that we wouldn't have normally gotten to do if we were only staying here for a short period of time. And looking after animals is the best. But yeah, we're in the UK. I didn't really get too much footage of the first day of being in London because we were just so exhausted and my SD card was full and running out of battery and all of those things, and we just wanted to get to our Airbnb and enjoy the day and sleep. And I still can't believe we're in the UK. It still feels surreal. But we have so much footage of the 6 days that we're in London, so I'm going to do a video for each day that we were there. And I'll also be uploading some house sitting specific videos as well. So if you want to see our travels or you want to learn more about house sitting, please subscribe. If you like this video, give it a like or comment below if you've been to London or the UK or anything. If there's anywhere we should check out, I'd love to hear from you. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.